It was a spring afternoon, and the university courtyard was buzzing with students and parents. I'd taken the day off work to attend the campus awards ceremony. My son, Daniel, was receiving recognition for his academic work, and I couldn't have been prouder. When he spotted me walking toward him, I lifted my hand in a small wave. But instead of smiling, he froze, then turned to his friends. "This is just some guy from back home," he muttered when I reached them. "Some guy." The words hit me harder than any insult I'd ever heard. His friends laughed politely, clearly unsure, and he shuffled awkwardly before pulling them toward the auditorium. I stood there, pretending not to feel the sting, and quietly took my seat in the back row. Before I go further, I want to thank everyone who's been watching my stories. Your support keeps me telling them. If you're here now, hit like, subscribe, share this with someone, and drop your name and location in the comments. I might give you a shout out in the next story. Today's shout out goes to George from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thanks for listening, my friend. The ceremony was beautiful. Daniel stood on stage in his crisp suit, shaking hands with professors, smiling for the cameras. From my corner seat, I clapped like any proud father would, but inside, my pride was bruised. Afterward, I offered to take him out for dinner. He hesitated before agreeing, almost as if it was an obligation. During the meal, he kept checking his phone, replying to messages, and barely looking at me. It was clear he didn't want to be seen with me in public. Not in his new world, not among his polished college friends. I said nothing. I didn't need to. I learned long ago that silence can be the sharpest blade. But on the drive home, I made a decision. If my son wanted to rewrite who I was to him, then perhaps it was time he saw exactly who I could be. Not through anger, not through shouting, but through a lesson so unforgettable it would echo in his mind for the rest of his life. For days, I replayed that moment in my head. The hesitation in his voice, the way he avoided introducing me, the subtle wince when one of his friends asked if I was his father. Daniel wasn't a bad kid. He was just lost in the glitter of status and appearances, forgetting the foundation beneath his feet. I had been that foundation, working extra shifts, patching old boots, selling my truck so he could start college debt-free. I could have confronted him, but confrontation makes young men defensive. Lessons, however, real, lived lessons, leave marks that no argument can erase. So I waited, watched, took note of the way he celebrated his new image online, the way he carefully curated his Instagram posts to erase any trace of the working-class life he came from. Then one afternoon, I found it the perfect opportunity. His university was hosting a charity gala. Black tie, red carpet, press coverage. Daniel was one of the student ambassadors, meaning all eyes would be on him. That's when the seed of my plan took root. I would attend, not as the father he wanted to hide, but as the man the entire room couldn't stop talking about. The night of the gala, I didn't arrive in work boots or my old jacket. No, I called in a favor from a client whose son I'd once bailed out with a no-interest loan. He happened to own a luxury menswear shop in town. By 6 p.m., I was in a deep navy tuxedo, polished shoes that caught the light, and a crisp white shirt that felt like armor. A clean shave, hair slicked back. Not bad for a man in his 60s. I didn't look like the father Daniel was embarrassed of. I looked like the man everyone wanted to meet. When I stepped out of the hired black Bentley, driver and all, cameras clicked like rain on a tin roof. Inside the ballroom, people whispered before I even reached the champagne table. I shook hands, smiled, and let them make assumptions. A philanthropist? A retired diplomat? A business magnate? Then, when Daniel approached the podium to speak, I made my move. The event's host, an old friend from high school I hadn't seen in years, spotted me and insisted on introducing me to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, we have among us tonight a man whose hard work and generosity made it possible for one of our own student leaders to be here today, Mr. Raymond Holt, father of Daniel Holt. The applause hit before Daniel's smile could form. His face flushed red, and in that moment, every camera in the room caught him. Daniel froze. The whole room turned to him, some clapping politely, others with that knowing smirk people get when they smell a story. I stepped forward, shaking his hand for just a little too long. "Son," I said into the mic, "I'm proud of you." Then I turned to the crowd. I used to think I was just raising a boy. Turns out, I was raising a man who could forget where he came from. But I'm happy to remind him, and all of you, that he didn't get here alone. Gasps, cameras flashing, a few muffled laughs. I handed the mic back to the host and walked off stage, leaving Daniel frozen in place. Within hours, the clip was on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Dad school son in public, best gala mic drop ever, Parents of the Year moment. By the next morning, Daniel's phone was drowning in notifications. His classmates were sharing the video. His professors had seen it. Even alumni donors were sending me emails about how much they admired what I'd done. For weeks, he avoided me. Then one Sunday, he showed up at my door head low. "You made your point," he said quietly. No, I told him. Life made my point. I just gave him a microphone. He's never forgotten it. And now, he never forgets to introduce me as his father, proudly. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and drop your name and location in the comments so I can give you a shout out in the next one.